The Ambitious Radio Network. Conversations with ambitious entrepreneurs and thought leaders. Are you an entrepreneur, startup junkie, or just someone interested in improving their leadership skills? If you're looking to be motivated, inspired, and uncover what it takes to get to the next level, listening to Ambitious Radio will be well worth the investment of your time. We have weekly engaging conversations with today's most influential thought leaders and entrepreneurs as they discuss their successes, failures, tipping points, and other priceless information that you can apply immediately after listening. And welcome to the show. Good to have you right here. It is Ambitious Radio, hosted by our friend Doug Parker, talking about entrepreneurship and leadership while interviewing interesting people and what makes them ambitious. Now, you know the show wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, Grasshopper.com, the entrepreneur's phone system. You know, most of the time, small business owners need to personally guarantee any loans that their companies take out. That can be kind of tough to do if you have credit issues. So if you have less than perfect credit, go to RepairMyCreditNow.com for a free credit report evaluation. RepairMyCreditNow.com. Doug, what do we have going on today?
Today, guys, we have someone that is really, really interesting. She was introduced to me by one of our other guests from the show, Mike Chafin, and it has really been quite an experience as I was researching for the show. So we've got Lachlan Johnson on the show, and after she first appeared on Shark Tank at 12 years old with her younger brother with a company called Flip-Outs, she has now grown up. She's 21 years old, and she has quite the entrepreneurial experience. She has sold her first company, exited that in 2003, and now has launched two other companies with her little brother Jake as a business partner, and those two companies are Trep-ology and Bow Up. Lachlan, welcome to the show, ma'am. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Well, I am as well, and I always like to have different dynamics on the show, and you definitely have something significantly different because you're such a young entrepreneur, even at this point at 21, but when you rewind it back to 12, I'd love to hear more about that experience here in a few minutes, but let's talk a little bit about who you are, where you're from, growing up, and how did you become this entrepreneur that you are today?
Yeah, totally. So it's actually a pretty funny story of how we came up with our first product at 12 years old, right? But first, I'm now 21 years old, finally, right? As of like 2 weeks ago. But I'm from Davidson, North Carolina, which is a super, super tiny town. Our claim to fame is Steph Curry. He went to Davidson College, if anybody follows pro basketball. So yay, Steph. But yeah, so I grew up in tiny town, Davidson, North Carolina. I went to a super small private school. My graduating class was 9 people. So we were, yeah, right, super tiny. So it's like my very best friends in the world. We went through all of middle school and high school together. And then we were like, holy cow, I'm graduating. What next? Where do I go? What do I do? And I actually ended up at St. Louis University. So now I live in St. Louis, Missouri, which is amazing because it's such an incredibly entrepreneurial community here that I found. So I absolutely adore St. Louis. So yeah, I'm studying entrepreneurship at St. Louis University, and I'm hoping that after senior year, I'm going to be able to step into one of my companies full-time and be an entrepreneur for the rest of my life.
Cool. That's exciting stuff. Now, let's talk a little bit about the first company. So, you first were on Shark Tank. Would that have been in what year was that when you first were on Shark Tank?
It was in 2010. So
okay.
I was actually about 15 years old when we went on the show, but we created the company when I was 12. So there was a couple years between the creation of the company and actually getting to the point we were able to appear on Shark Tank.
Okay, very good. And what did that transition look like? Because, a lot of entrepreneurs, and one thing that we always want to, kind of highlight is your experiences, both good and bad, just so we can kind of learn from those and our listeners can, figure out where do you go from here. And sometimes folks just have an idea, they just jump out there and they just want to do something, but they don't start necessarily with the end in mind. So you said you worked on it for a few years, then you went on Shark Tank. So how did that transition go from 2013? I was from 2010 to 2013. Working with Damon John and actually doing the exit. How did that work?
Yeah, it was a pretty insane process. So rewinding a little bit. like I said a little bit earlier, I was 12 years old, and my little brother Jake, who is my business partner, he was 8 years old when we started this company. So we went through the whole phase of, holy cow, I can't do this. What are we doing? All the way working it through the point where we hustled for a few years and got it on Shark Tank and made the deal with three sharks. And then Damon John became really our mentor. He was the one that we worked with the most closely. And there were so many failures. I mean, entrepreneurship is like a string of failures working up to the point where you finally feel like you've become successful and you've done something noteworthy. So one of the biggest failures that we love to talk about was we actually went to the FAO Schwartz toy auditions. So it was actually right before Shark Tank. FAO Schwartz does toy auditions where if you have a cool product, they open their doors for you and you're allowed to present your idea for a toy to the higher ups in the company. And if they like your toy, then they put you on the shelves and all the FAO Schwartz stores, and that's really what you feel like is your successful point. So we got super excited. We flew up to New York City and did the toy auditions. They rolled out the red carpet throughout the store, and all the employees lined the carpet and were clapping, and we were like, holy cow, this is so cool. Our little 13, 14 at that point. So we did the auditions. We talked to the higher ups in FAO Schwartz about our toy flip outs. And they loved it. They were like, this is so cool. You guys, we're going to put this on every shelf and every store, and it's going to be great. So we went home and did our little happy dance. We're like, holy cow, this actually happened. That wasn't so bad. That was pretty easy. Cool. Entrepreneurship. Woo. And then we never heard from them again. So we were like, well, all right, they don't like the product. So what if nobody else likes the product? It didn't work. Our company is awful. We got to give up. The end. And then we realized, you know what? Entrepreneurship is about failure. It's about failing forward and realizing that, a million doors are going to be slammed in your face before you get that one golden opportunity where someone says, yes, I understand what you're doing. I understand the vision. Let's make it happen. So we kept pushing forward, and that's when we ended up on Shark Tank. So after the FAO Schwartz thing made us depressed, we were like, let's go for it. So we applied for Shark Tank and got on. And Damon John came on as the mentor in the end. And he's the one that really helped us during the transition from the small company run out of our garage, ultimately, into finding a manufacturer out of South Carolina, making the product, getting the product in over 300 retail stores nationwide, getting in Toys R Us and Hallmark, and really making it so that we were able to understand what entrepreneurship is all about. Unfortunately, throughout the entire flip outs process, myself and my younger brother were both minors. And I have an older sister too, who was definitely part of the process. But we were all minors. So we weren't able to be as involved in the process as we wanted to be. So the entire we were the more creative team. So it was absolutely our company, and we were the face of the company and the brains behind the company, kind of driving the ship, figuring out, where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. But from a legal standpoint, we weren't able to be very involved. So our parents, thankfully, were super supportive and kind of took on that lead role, working with all the banks and legal stuff, making our exit and transitioning through that period. So once we made our exit in 2013, we sold the company to a toy company up in New York City who was actually merging with another toy company. So Omega and Wild Creations kind of merged to become Wild Craze. They're still in that process. It's become kind of complicated. So Flip Out has not yet been rolled out in the way that we talked about when we sold the company. But again, Flip Outs was the learning process. It was the first time that we were exposed to entrepreneurship, the failures, the successes, the long transition periods that really got us hooked on entrepreneurship. And after making that exit, we decided we really loved it and wanted to create something else to continue our journey.
That's real exciting. And so through that process, it sounds like that, that there was the exit, and then the new companies have merged together, but maybe, are you kind of alluding to, you haven't kind of realized maybe all the potential financial side of it just yet? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Exactly, yes.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
The deal we made was in stock in the new company, so could be worth nothing, could be worth a whole lot. We aren't really sure yet. So the biggest takeaway that we're taking from the entire Flip Outs process is the entrepreneurial skills that we learned that are taking us forward to our future endeavors.
That's so important. And if you're listening, guys, I mean, this is someone that, on Shark Tank thought that, they may have just struck, hit the gold mine, if you will, with FAO Schwartz in the beginning, and then Shark Tank, and then you fast forward, all these years later, and the reality is it hasn't quite been realized, the cash side of it. However, you've learned so many valuable lessons and things that you can do with entrepreneurship in the future, and you've already planted some new seeds. So, people talk about failing fast and different things, but the reality is the only way you fail is if you don't learn anything through that process, and it sounds like you have learned a tremendous amount during this process, and so that's really great stuff. So let me ask you this: what's one of your favorite quotes?
My favorite quote, it's funny, it actually comes from my dad. When my dad said to me, back when I was the little 12-year-old thinking, what the heck are we doing? I can't start a toy company. I'm 12 years old. I don't know anything about business. And my dad said to us, why not you? Those simple 3 words, I feel like, really changed my life. It really changed my outlook on the way I view life and view opportunities. So him saying, why not you? Why not take the risk and take the chance and throw everything you have into what you want to become and what you want your future to look like, and just see what happens, right? So because luckily we started when we were young, so we didn't really have too much to lose at that point because we were still under our parents' wings, so to say. But we really said, why not you? Why not us? Why not be the first kids to appear on Shark Tank? Why not start a toy company before you even enter high school, right? So I think why not you, and viewing it personally, why not me, has opened so many doors for me moving forward, because I'm really saying, what am I going to lose in taking the risk, right? Why would I sit back and say, oh, I can't go do that. Oh, I can't go accomplish that. I can't go do this, when you could say, why not go accomplish those things? I found that the biggest barrier between where I am now and where I want to be is myself saying that, no, you can't do that. So I think if I'm taking the word can't out of my vocabulary, and that's something I encourage everyone else to do as well, just don't think about, oh, I can't do this, and instead think, why not?
Man, that is unbelievable. All this wisdom coming out of a 21-year-old young lady. Great information. And guys, if you like what you're hearing, you can always go back to ambitiousradio.com. All the content there that we're discussing we'll put on the site, and you can go back and reference it on the show notes page. And tune in after the break when we have a brief word from our sponsors. We'll be talking more to Lachlan Johnson about her career pursuits and her experience of becoming an ambitious entrepreneur right here on the Ambitious Radio Network.
It's that time again. Summertime. Kids are out of school, running around, having fun in the sun.
Leaving the doors open, trying to air condition the entire neighborhood. I just got my first electric bill of the summer, and it is double what it was a few months ago. I can't wait for these kids to go back to school.
Tired of paying outrageous electricity bills? Would you like to get a significant discount or get free electricity? Go to freeelectricitydfw.com to compare our rates. Many of our clients are saving anywhere from 15 to 20%. We also have a referral program that allows you to earn free electricity. You cannot beat free cents per kilowatt.
Switch and save with freeelectricitydfw.com. That's freeelectricitydfw.com.
We offer free energy credits to customers who refer and activate 15 or more qualified customers for our electricity service and are not past due on their bill. To get your free energy credit, your customers must be referred through your free customer gathering website. See freeelectricitydfw.com for more details.
As we get back into the show, let's give a shout out to our great sponsors, all3reports.com. That's all, the number 3 reports with an S.com. You know, many people check their credit every 3 to 5 years when they're financing a home or maybe when they're purchasing a new vehicle. But if there is an issue, it could be too late to do anything about it. So go to all3reports.com to find out more. Speaking of a new vehicle, a wise person once said, lease what depreciates, buy what appreciates. So go to AutoFlex Leasing. They offer a better way to lease your next car. America's largest independent leasing company is AutoFlex Leasing. Doug?
All right, we're back on the Ambitious Radio Network, and today we're talking to Lachlan Johnson, and she survived the Shark Tank, actually got investors to invest in her business. The Sharks negotiated, fought over it a little bit, and now she has successfully exited that business and has two other businesses, Trep-ology and Bow Up. And Bow Up is BEAUX. So there's some kind of a Cajun or French influence in that. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so it's just the Southern way. I'm from North Carolina and South Carolina. We've moved back and forth, so I kind of claim the Carolinas. So we just wanted to keep that Southern feel in the company. It's also, it kind of has a double meaning also. We're using bow up as kind of a command to bow up and put on your bow tie, not only any bow tie, but the special bow up bow ties.
Gotcha. Always kind of pitching there. I love that. That's a sign of a true entrepreneur. So this is fantastic information. Now, let's talk a little bit about these businesses. So, Bow Up, you said, is bow ties. And then Trep-ology, I think that's where Mike was kind of Mike Chafin, like I said, one of our previous guests. That's how we connected with one another. But is that the gamification of entrepreneurship? Is that what you're doing with that?
Yeah, exactly. So through this entrepreneurial journey, I really realized that entrepreneurial skills are truly life skills that every student needs to have before they enter, the real world, so to say. So things like effective communication, problem solving, innovation, they're all skills that employers can't outsource. So they're skills that everyone needs to have whether or not they want to become an entrepreneur. So in order to instill these skills in kids at a young age, we're gamifying the process to make them want to learn.
That is fantastic. Now, are these pre-revenue, or are you guys actually making money with them yet?
They're both pre-revenue. So we actually rolled out flip-outs in 2014, but it wasn't quite how we wanted it. So because flip-outs, we were minors, so we weren't completely involved. Our parents were kind of running the ship on that one. We decided that for Bow Up, my little brother and I wanted to do it completely ourselves. So we didn't want any investment from our parents. Obviously, we need their guidance. But we really wanted to be our own entrepreneurial journey this time. So we did it completely ourselves. We made our own website. We found a manufacturer ourselves to make our bow ties. And we kind of realized that we jumped the ship a little bit. We kind of opened our doors a little bit too early. Our product wasn't quite how we wanted it. So we brought everything back in, and we are actually, as of last week, we did our relaunch. So now we're hoping that Bow Up will really take off.
Perfect. And so you say you did the relaunch. Now, how are you guys currently marketing that? Is it online, or are you going into retailers? How do you market it right now?
Yep. Currently, it is all online at bowup.com, BEAUXUP.com. But actually, I have to mention what bow up is, because it's not your typical bow tie. So what we've done is actually cut the bow tie in half. So we manufacture bow tie halves, which connect on a unique clip which sits beneath your shirt collar. So guys can pick any two halves that we manufacture, any two colors, patterns, fabrics, connect them on the clip, and then tie it like a regular bow tie. So then what you're doing is the entire front half of the bow tie, so the entire bow is the first color, pattern, fabric, and then the shadowing back bow and center knot are the second. So it's a completely customizable option for guys.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Well, I'll have to go to bowup.com and check it out myself. I'm a bow tie guy. I don't wear those typically, but I may have to go get a couple and make it happen.
Yeah, can hook you up.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. And then on the Trep-ology now, is there a functional site for that yet, or is that more in you just kind of have the idea right now and it's not out there just yet?
So a little bit of both. So Trep-ology is actually a two-part digital platform which teaches entrepreneurship to students. So the first part of the platform is more angled toward schools and after-school programs. So the website is trep-ology.com. And there you'll find more of a curriculum content. So it's worksheets and bite-sized videos of students teaching students how to start and run their own companies. So that's the curriculum side, which we're marketing toward school programs and after-school programs. But the side that we're really excited about, we're most excited about moving forward, is the second part of the digital platform, which, like you said, is the gamification of entrepreneurship. And that is the part that is not yet completely figured out. I am the worst person when it comes to technology. So we're really looking for some nice app developers and some people that understand the technology world much, much better than myself, because I know I could not do it. So we're kind of in that process now. We know what we want the mobile app to look like. We know that it's an avatar-based world where students can log on and play, working toward creating an entrepreneurial venture. So they can pick from 4 tracks: sports, food, entertainment, and animals. So they can pick their particular track, and each track has a specific end goal of creating an entrepreneurial enterprise. And the students must go on these tasks, entrepreneurial tasks that they're given in the game, in order to get the resources to achieve their goals. So we have the game kind of figured out. We just are pre-revenue. We haven't launched the app quite yet.
Cool. Well, it's interesting. The guys that designed Words with Friends, the Bettner brothers and their cousin, they were from McKinney, Texas, which is where we're located, and so we had some interaction with them over the years, and they ultimately sold their company to Zynga for something like $52 million. But but they have a lot of experience with that, so maybe I can connect you guys a little later and see if that's a project that might be of interest to them. So it's always interesting how these kind of connections come together. Absolutely. Well, so let me ask you this: during this process, you've talked a little bit about, hey, we didn't know what we were doing. We're young, and this, that, and the other. But what were some of the fears that you experienced as an entrepreneur, and then how did you kind of, process through them and progress along the way?
Right. So the first fear, so to say, came from starting the first company, so Flip-Outs, when I was between 12 and 16 were the Flip-Outs years. And that was really the fear of not being taken seriously. So we found ourselves going into, my little brother and I, found ourselves going into all these meetings with all big executives and all these adults, and we were young. So walking into these big board meetings, into these amazingly successful companies, the adults were looking around like, who am I talking to? Who is this meeting with? And we're like, hi, over here, that's us, hello. So we kind of had to overcome the fear of not being taken seriously. So we really realized that the way that you act is the way that you're going to be perceived. So we had to stop walking into business meetings fearful that we weren't going to be taken seriously, and instead take charge of the situation, be confident, portray ourselves as the powerful entrepreneurs that we wanted to be, and we saw a 360 difference. So that was awesome. And secondly, I found being a female entrepreneur, unfortunately, the past 10 years or so, I've seen a dramatic increase, which is awesome. But again, when we were getting started, being a female in business and even entrepreneurship itself was a little bit intimidating at first, trying to jump into the business world, which is fairly dominated by men. I'm trying to be a powerful CEO and run these 2 companies and really trying to figure out my place. But being in St. Louis has been so helpful, being around so many successful female entrepreneurs and so many successful females that own their own companies and are CEOs taking powerful positions. So it's really been a long process, but I finally feel like I am confident and I am happy with where I am today, for sure.
I'm sure at college there's a different dynamic where, in my mind, the first time we talked, I'm thinking, you may be like a fish out of water. You're there, you're going to college, you're going to be a senior here in the fall. And, how are you taking, whenever you've got all these other, quote unquote kids around you? I know you're an adult, but still a lot of young adults, I should say. So, is there a lot of other folks like you at school, or are you like a little bit further down the tracks than some of the others with your entrepreneurial ventures?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic. I actually chose St. Louis University because their entrepreneurship program is one of the top 10 in the nation. So luckily, SLU does have an incredibly entrepreneurial student body. Well, not everyone, obviously, and pretty big school, but our entrepreneurship center is full of the same entrepreneurial-minded people that I've been surrounding myself with. So when I'm in the business school and when I'm taking my entrepreneurship classes, I'm really not a fish out of water because multiple other students have started their own companies too. There's actually a thing at SLU called the Diamonds in the Rough program, which is only for students that have started their own companies. And it's kind of an accelerator. So they help us get connected to other, power players in the St. Louis community. And that's part of the way I got introduced to Mike Chafin, which has been an amazing business connection I'm so thankful for. So yes, when I'm in the business setting at school, it's very comfortable, very easygoing. They completely understand or I'm coming from, and that I travel and have to miss some school, and they work with me. They completely understand. It's amazing. And some of the other aspects of school, when I'm taking my gen ed classes and in my sorority, some people don't completely understand what exactly I'm doing. So some teachers, I'm not excused from their classes for traveling for business, and that's been pretty rough to deal with. But I just have to keep remembering that the end goal when I graduate is to be a business person, is to be an entrepreneur. So I feel like that though I'm missing school for some days, if I'm doing it for the sake of business, I feel like I'm still on the right path.
Well, that is great stuff for our ambitious listeners. And again, guys, if you like what you hear, pause right now. Take a minute. Let some other people know that you're enjoying this content. If you'd like to be notified of other shows that are coming up, you can subscribe by texting the word ambitious to 69922. That's 69922. Standard messaging rates will apply. See the website for full details. After we hear a brief word from our sponsors on this break, we'll get right back with Lachlan and hear more about what she's planning here on the Ambitious Radio Network. Hey, ambitious listeners, you hear us interviewing entrepreneurs all the time, and there's a common theme. They want to be more productive and improve their communication. As an ambitious entrepreneur, you're always on the go. So turn your mobile phone into a business phone system with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. The Ambitious Radio Network recently partnered with Grasshopper to offer our listeners a special discount. Log on to ambitiousradio.com and click on the Grasshopper banner in the bottom right-hand corner. Get a new business number or keep your current one. Sound professional with a main greeting and multiple extensions that forwards callers to your mobile phone or others in your organization. Get a toll-free number or local number for your business with multiple extensions. Set up each extension with custom call forwarding to any phone in the world. Get your voicemails emailed to you as an audio attachment or transcribe an email. Keep business calls separate from your personal calls. Plans start at $12 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Remember to click on the Grasshopper banner at ambitiousradio.com for a special discount for our listeners. Join the over 150,000 small business owners that have stayed connected with Grasshopper. See how Grasshopper works? It's the entrepreneur's phone system. Turn the world into your office.
Back in here on the show, it's Ambitious Radio Network. Hey, are you thinking of expanding your business but don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new phone system? Consider Grasshopper.com. You get to keep your existing number, you have multiple extensions, voicemails transcribed, and no new hardware. Grasshopper.com is the entrepreneur's phone system. Let's get back to the show with Doug Parker.
All right, welcome back to the Ambitious Radio Network, and today we're talking to Lachlan Johnson with Trep-ology and Bow Up on Ambitious Radio. So let's talk real quick. What are you doing? What's next? What do you envision the next maybe 3 to 5 years, young lady?
So I'm graduating from college next year. I'm starting my senior year in the fall, and after I graduate, ideally, I would like to step into one of these two companies. I'll still be running both of them, but hopefully at least one of them will be at the point where I can work full-time and sustain myself, not live off of ramen noodles and Easy Mac. So hopefully in the next couple years, even in the next couple months, both of these companies will be taking off. And I'm already seeing tremendous traction with both companies, Trep-ology in particular. So I'm definitely excited about the next few months moving forward.
Gotcha. And on those companies, I know you mentioned that, from your parents' perspective, that you weren't looking for them to invest, because you and your brother were doing this on your own, if you will. However, are you seeking outside investments, or do you kind of already have some of those things in place?
I'm always seeking outside investments. I am completely open to any partners. For Bow Up, we're actually currently seeking retail partners. We would love to be able to not only have e-commerce, but also be in some stores as well. So we're definitely looking for partners there. And for Trep-ology, looking for partners there as well. Like I said earlier, I am not a technology person at all. So we're looking to bring someone to the team that can help us out in that area, that understands technology, the building of the app and the website, and really getting that part launched off the ground.
And do you envision that being, you talk about these apps and different things, and I'm kind of old school when it comes to video games and stuff. So I don't play video games anymore, but when I was a kid, it's like the Nintendos and those kind of things. So nowadays these apps are they're on your phone. The people play video games on their phones and iPads and those kind of things. So do you envision it being like a console type game or it being more of an app on a phone type game?
We played with a bunch of different options, and really came down to the mobile app is where we want to be. So I think initially we looked at it being completely online, so the entire world being on Trep-ology.com and really merging the school curriculum and the game, and so but we realized that the apps are really where the future is moving toward. And there are so many amazing things that technology is creating and moving forward. It's constantly innovation in the technology area. So we really want to be a platform that can continue to change as technology changes and as the market changes. We want to be able to keep up with what people want. And we feel like that with an app, not only can kids log on and play wherever they are, continue to play, bring their Trep-ology world with them on the move, but that will be able to update and change and constantly, keep kids interested in learning the entrepreneurial skills that we're offering.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about this because you've got a lot of energy and you obviously get business. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be super successful and just knock it out of the park, probably multiple times. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. But, is that something that, or are your parents entrepreneurial, or was it something that somehow you just got the bug? And you mentioned an older sister, but then you and your little brother are the ones that are kind of doing these businesses, it seems. Has she decided that entrepreneurship is not for her?
Yeah, so my older sister, she is very much into musical theater. She's an actress. She's a singer-songwriter. She's so talented. She's completely amazing. But the business world is not quite her cup of tea. So while she was involved in flip outs with us because she was there, she really brought the self-expression aspect to flip outs. I brought the more physical product aspect, and Jake brought the trading and tracking aspect. So all three of us did combine our own ideas into creating flip outs. But then moving forward, after my sister kind of worked with Damon and saw the transition, making our exit, she kind of stepped back and said, "You know what, guys? I'm gonna move to New York and do the actress thing." So we're trying to bring her back in. We keep begging her, bring the musical side and the artistic side into Trep-ology. So there is some potential work with bringing her back into Trep-ology, but business, she decided that's not really her thing. So me and little brother Jake all the way.
You got it. Now, you mentioned Damon, so let's talk about that a little bit. What has that experience been like? Because there are people that would pay who knows how much money to be able to eat a lunch with the guy, much less have him invest in your initial deal in Shark Tank and then still be able to stay in touch. So is he involved in any way in these new businesses?
He is. So when we sold the company, we sold Flip Outs with the help of Damon John, and then we said, you know what, Jake and I, we want to jump back into entrepreneurship. We went to Damon and said, what do? We don't have any ideas. We don't really know where to start. What should we do? And he actually sent us to his Damon John Academy. And it was there that we worked with people, and kind of came up with the bow up idea. So it was actually Jake. Bow ties are coming back in a huge way, but him and all of his friends couldn't find bow ties that really fit what they wanted. Right, so no one wants to be grandpa when they're wearing a bow tie. It's not the Poindexter, little nerdy bow tie look that we're going for. They wanted young and hip and cool and fresh. So Jake actually started cutting up his own bow ties and sewing them together to make his own thing. And it was at the Damon John Academy that we said, you know what, that is a great idea. Let's make that into the company that we're going to run with. So Damon was kind of influential in launching that second company. So he's not an investor. We don't work with him on a regular basis. So he's not, I wouldn't say he's completely involved in these companies, but we do have all this information, and he is an amazingly supportive man, so that anytime we have a question or we need advice, or we want to know if he has connections to certain people that we want to work with, we can send him an email, shoot him a text, and be like, hey, Damon, is there anything you can help us out with in this department? And he responds within 24 hours, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, imagine that, guys, listening out there. Hey, I'm just going to send a text to Damon John and just see, get his advice on something. What a resource that you have, and I can tell that you respect him and really know what you've got there. So on this Damon John Academy, I have not, I'm not aware of that. So is it for people of all ages? Is it for youth? Tell me a little bit about that.
It is, yep. It's for people of all ages. You pay a fee, and then you get to work with his creative people, the team for the academy, and they help you kind of figure out which direction you should be heading. So I think most people go to the academy with an idea in mind, and then the team kind of help you figure out if you need to narrow your focus, or if you need to define your product a little bit more, and then send you off with which direction you need to be heading to take your company and make it successful.
Gotcha. And is it something where you attend in person, or is it correspondent? Where's it located?
Yep, you attend in person. I believe I was in Florida, I want to say, is where we went. But yeah, I believe they're doing them all over. So that's definitely a good resource.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll do a little bit of research on that. Again, we'll put that on the show notes as well, because these resources, there's so many things out there, and you just don't know what you don't know sometimes. So great information. So ambitious times here. That's all I can say. So after we hear a brief word from our sponsor, we'll be discussing more with Lachlan, what she does to recharge her ambitious body, mind, and spirit, right here on the Ambitious Radio Network.
You get the most for your lease with an Autoflex lease, yeah.
When you start shopping for a car, you go in thinking that this time you're really going to get a great deal. Then the haggling starts. You have to fence with the salesman over the price, then verbally joust with the finance manager over the interest rate and all the extras they want to sell you. By the time you get out of there, you're glad to have escaped with your watch and rings. Stop the insanity. There's a better way, and that's to lease your next car from Autoflex Leasing. Call the leasing specialist at Autoflex, and you'll find that getting your next car can be fast, easy, and fun. Your Autoflex specialist leases all makes and models, both new and used. They'll also pick up your trade-in for an appraisal and deliver your new car to your home or office. Imagine leasing your next car and never having to go to a dealer. Happens every day at Autoflex Leasing. To see for yourself, call Autoflex today at 817 or 972-234-1234 or reach them at Autoflex.com. Autoflex Leasing, a better way to lease your next car.
And we're back in here on the show. It's Ambitious Radio Network, recharging the ambitious mind, body, and spirit, made possible by RepairMyCreditNow.com. Having bad credit can be really draining. It's okay to not be okay as long as you're on the road to being okay. Let RepairMyCreditNow.com help get you back on track. Many of our ambitious listeners prefer to listen to books as opposed to reading them. Now, with that, we've teamed up with Audible.com to offer you one free audiobook. Just go to AmbitiousRadio.com, click on the Audible banner on the page to find out more. Back to the show now with Doug Parker.
All right, guys, we're back on the Ambitious Radio Network, and today we've got Lachlan Johnson. She is a successful entrepreneur, a Shark Tank survivor. Welcome back to the show, ma'am. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, loving it. Absolutely.
Fantastic. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. I know that you're hard charging. You've been doing this since an early age, running multiple businesses. Have started 3 businesses now, going to college, making it happen. So whenever you kind of start running out of juice, what do you do to recharge?
I really take a step back. So especially working with your little brother, which, as you can imagine, has its moments, we found it's really important to separate work, business, and really, life, right? So now that I'm in college, it's become a little bit easier to step back. But when I was in high school, living at home, stepping back isn't that easy when you see your business partner, every single time you're in your house. You can't walk into the kitchen and grab a snack without seeing the business partner and being like, oh crap, what do we do about this? What do we do about this? So really, in order to recharge, I have to completely unplug and step away from all business-related, work-related things, and go lay by the pool, go do some yoga, go hang out with my sorority sisters, and really just completely detox from the business world.
That's good advice, and sometimes as business owners and entrepreneurs, we look at stuff and you want to get stuff accomplished, and so you're head down trying to make it happen, grinding it out, because that's how, people are when they're entrepreneurial. That's why they're doing what they're doing. But taking that step back can be very valuable just to unplug a little bit. I like your analogy there. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's go by the pool, maybe it's take a walk, whatever. But you just unplug totally, and then you come back with a different focus. And a lot of times those answers can come to you in that time of relaxation. So that's great stuff. Now let's talk about things that may drain you or things that may fill you. What is one of the things about being an entrepreneur that just sucks the life out of you?
I think, like you said a minute ago, there is always something that you can be doing. You can always be sending emails. You can always be finding new contacts. For us, a big part of Bow Up is that we recycle long neckties. So we're taking vintage long neckties and upcycling that silk to turn it into bow tie halves. So I'm constantly thinking, what if there's some amazing vintage silk right down the road and this thrift store or this cool little boutique that I could be looking at, I can be buying, I can be doing so many things. I think that my entrepreneurial mind in general are constantly running with things that you could be doing, that you should be doing, and you really have to force yourself to push pause, take a step back, and say, you know what? Those can wait until another day.
That's good. That's real good. Now, what about things that fill you? What's one of your favorite things to do? And it doesn't have to be at all business related, but just that you just do it and it just fills you full of joy.
Food, completely food. So I guess fills me in more ways than one. But I love trying new restaurants and trying new foods, new types of foods, going to new places I haven't been before. So anytime I get a moment where I get stressed out, I'll text some of my sorority sisters or my boyfriend and be like, hey, let's go try that new restaurant in the city, or let's go, drive 45 minutes away to try a little burger shack or whatever it may be. So I am obsessed with food.
Cool. What's one of your favorite types of food or a favorite restaurant?
Man, that is so hard. Oh my gosh. I think it's between Mexican and Italian for me. I love Mexican and Italian. Not together. Gross. But definitely Mexican and Italian.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mexican now. I'm here in Texas, so we have
gosh.
Tex-Mex, which is a whole nother level here.
What?
So
Sounds
yep,
awesome.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let me ask you this: where's your favorite place to vacation when you want to really unplug and just not do anything work related for a season, maybe for a few days or a week or so?
Yeah, totally. That would be my mountain house. So back in North Carolina, we have a rustic old little mountain cabin which sits on a lake. So it's a Methodist retreat. So it's like a church grounds retreat all around this beautiful lake. So it's really mostly around the lake. It's older people, elderly people that have retired to this Methodist church retreat grounds. And it is the most peaceful, quiet, beautiful place you can ever imagine. So I love to go up to our mountain house. It's like 3 hours from our home in North Carolina and about a 9-hour drive from me here in St. Louis. But I found that even last year, during my junior year at SLU, I think I drove to the mountain house like 6 or 7 times just to completely be able to relax and surround myself with the peaceful quietness of being in the mountains and being on a lake and being, just out of a city, being in the rustic little mountain town.
Well, cool. Now that sounds really just relaxing and the ability to unplug. I'm sure in the mountains that your cell service and such is not quite as good as it is in the city.
Right. Normally I would be complaining, but no, up there it is amazing.
Cool. Now, what about rest? I mean, how much sleep does it take for the energetic Lachlan to keep it going all day long every day?
Oh man, I'd say about 5 hours on a good night. I've kind of trained myself to be able to function on not a lot of sleep because I'll lay in bed and I'm sure every entrepreneur can say the same thing. As soon as your head hits the pillow, you're like, oh crap, I have so much stuff I need to do. So I'll find myself in my bed on my laptop doing emails or sending a text to Jake being like, hey little bro, what do we need to do on the website? How are things looking? So unfortunately, I know I'm not supposed to be on technology in bed, but it's got to happen. So about 5 hours, I think, makes me function.
Goodness. Now, work-life balance, so it sounds like, on your first business, you really weren't able to, work on it a day-to-day because you were a minor. Now you've been going to college and you've got these other businesses, but you do have work-life balance when it comes to schoolwork and other things. How do you balance those things out?
I think it all comes down to prioritizing. I find that while school is extremely important to me, I'm all about education, and that's part of the reason I'm trying to educate young students about entrepreneurship. But education is super important to me, but my future is business, and my passion is entrepreneurship. So I feel that though I may not make the dean's list every year, I may have to make some sacrifices on some homework or some study time. I feel like if I am putting that time toward good use, if I'm making progress with my businesses, that I'm still doing something equally rewarding. So I think prioritizing my time and thinking, do I really have to do, an hour of math problems right now? Or could I be, pushing forward Trep-ology and pushing forward Bow Up and really building my future with these companies? So I think a lot of times business kind of wins out over certain areas of my schoolwork, but I think in the end, it's all pretty balanced.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. And when it comes to if our listeners wanted to engage with you, we've got someone that maybe wants to be an investor, or they got more questions about your business, or your businesses, I should say, businesses. How would they engage with you? What's the best way to communicate?
Probably by email. You could always find me on LinkedIn. I've met a lot of really cool people through LinkedIn messages, actually. But I would say email. So my email address is Lachlan, Lachlan, at either bowup.com or Trep-ology.com.
Got it. And Lachlan is Lachlan?
Yep, Lachlan. Yes, indeed. And I'm actually I'm super excited about doing a potential speaking tour. So I'm getting really excited about doing more speaking and traveling to speak about these companies and educating young students as well as older people about, kind of what we're doing and what other people can be doing, and really sharing my story. So if anybody's looking for any speakers or anything, I'm totally down for that too.
Cool. Yeah, I saw something, I think it might have been on LinkedIn, that had you like in front of a TED Talk or something. Have you done one of those before?
I did TEDx Women. So I did a women's conference, which was a TED Talk, yeah. And that was amazing. So much fun.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to see, the confidence that you have and just young people that are going out there making it happen. In America, this is one of the only countries in the world that we can do what we can do, how we do it. It's just unbelievable that a young person, you can just jump out there and do it.
Right. And that's what I encourage people to do. Why not you? Go for it.
I love that. Well, that is great information. Now, if you could make one request of our audience, is there anything that you would like for them to go do?
I would say don't let fear be a barrier. Definitely, I was at a conference in California last weekend, and they showed a video where they asked a bunch of different people, what is keeping you from achieving your dreams? And more people said fear than anything else. So to all the listeners, do not let fear stand in your way. You are capable of anything you put your mind to.
That is a great word from a young entrepreneur that is just knocking it out of the park, and I can't wait to see where she is in the months and years to come. There is no doubt, superstar, super successful, and is going to make it happen. And a lot of this is already happening even before she got out of high school. Now, even before she gets out of college, what we wouldn't do to be in your shoes, young lady. So great job.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Well, guys, if we want to definitely give a thanks to our sponsors, because we could not do it without them. Ambitious Radio does everything it can to get great entertaining guests. They give great information. And so entrepreneurs, small business owners are always looking for great resources. If they need a logo, website, go to 99 Designs. Connect with the world's greatest graphic artists and designers. Tune in on Wednesdays to Ambitious Radio, where we interview thought leaders and exciting entrepreneurs changing the face of their organizations. Remember, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you cannot make both. So go out there and be ambitious. All right, guys, you thought the show was over? It's not. We've got a bonus round with Miss Lachlan. Thanks for taking a little bit of extra time out of your schedule, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so happy to be here.
Cool. Let me ask you this. What would a story maybe that your family might tell about you that just might not be out there on the internet to research?
Oh, man. There are so many embarrassing stories, which I would not want them to share. But I think what they would probably say is that I have what they like to call hobby ADD. I feel like there is so much, like so many different things that I'm into and I want to try out and just spend my time, figuring out new things, figuring out what I can be doing. So I was in pageants for a little while. I got a horse and was a barrel racer for a little while and rodeos and who knows what. I am all over the place. So they would definitely tell you about my hobby ADD.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask you, what would you say that you are world class at?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I think I would have to say I love encouraging people. I love speaking to people and, really telling them, encouraging them to overcome those fears and overcome those barriers and really, figure out what it is that they want to be doing and helping them get to that point. I've had a lot of people come to me and my little brother and say, I have an idea for this product. What do I do with it? Or I love to do this in my spare time. How can I make that into a business? And really just playing with those, all those creative options of how you can take an idea and move it forward into a company, and just playing with a bunch of different things of helping people, turn their lives into what they want to become.
Okay, that's great. Investing in others. Zig Ziglar used to say, if you help enough other people get what they want in life, you'll always have what you want. So I think that's
true.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Very good stuff there. Now, you are a very young lady. However, is there anything in the past 5 years that you have just changed your mind on? So you had one thought process about it 4 or 5 years ago, and now maybe you've kind of turned 180 degrees the other way.
Yeah, I think about 5 years ago, I was a pretty one-track mind kind of person. So I really thought that flip outs was going to be, that we were going to take it all the way and we were going to, work with that and I would have that for the rest of my life. I didn't really see the door open to all of the potential opportunities that entrepreneurship brings. So I think initially when we were confronted with the option of making our exit, I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to work this company and I want to see what we can do with it and where we can take it. And then I had to really reevaluate my way of thinking and realize that, maybe we had taken it to the point where we had done as much as we could and it was really our best option to be able to make an exit. But then I would be able to, jump back into entrepreneurship and find, more things that I'm passionate about and more business opportunities. So my mind definitely changed from being very single-minded about having one company to being able to open the doors and now run 2 different companies. And who knows what's coming in the future.
Sure. No, that's great stuff. Now, you talk about that a little bit about growing and some of the things you're doing. Is there anything specific that you're currently doing to grow? I know you're going to college right now, but are there other things outside of that?
Yeah, I would say I'm constantly looking for new opportunities. So my eyes and my mind are open to anything that may be thrown my way. So I'm traveling a lot. I'm attending multiple different conferences. I'm speaking at multiple different conferences, and I always stick around after and meet everybody that is willing to talk to me. I love talking to people and hearing what people have to say about advice for my own company, or asking me questions about what I could potentially do for them. So I think, and by ways of personal development, I'm really looking forward to graduating college, and then continuing to speak. I'm finding that the more that I'm working with Bow Up and the more I'm working with Trep-ology, I'm realizing that one of the parts I love the most is being able to travel around and speak to people about what we're doing and what we've learned in the process and what other people can take away from the things that I've learned and my crazy amount of failures, but also successes, which I've found to be very interesting. So yeah, so personal development, I love to travel and just keep my eyes open for every opportunity that comes my way.
Very good, very good. Now, when it comes to behavioral change, so there may be things over the last few years that you've just had to modify because you're not you haven't been the average kid,
Right.
or young adult. So, what's one of the behavioral changes that you're most proud of being able to augment, and what was that?
I think that was being able to conduct myself professionally and really act like an adult, but not lose pieces of my childhood. So while I am running 2 companies, and I am fully invested in the business world and making business deals and that whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, I'm still a kid or a young adult. And I feel like though I've kind of augmented my behavior to be able to be mature, I consider myself to be pretty mature for my age and be able to conduct myself professionally in business situations, I still know how to be in college and let loose and have fun and, go out and do fun things, be young. And even with my little brother, I found he's the same way. He's still in high school. And while he's also traveling all the time and focusing on business, he's still playing high school sports and he goes to the movies with his friends. And I take advantage of all of that stuff too, just going out and going to the movies, or like I said earlier, going to try new foods. So I think it's been a nice behavioral augment to be able to kind of look at my future and know that I need to conduct myself professionally and kind of switch my behavior to be able to be viewed as a young professional, but at the same time still be able to have fun and recognize that I'm still young adult.
Yeah, that's great. Now, what's one of the things that you would say, one of the personal habits that maybe has contributed most to your success?
I think, habits. When I think of habits, I only think of biting my nails, which is not good. But I think a productive habit would be that I always like to follow up with people, which I think has been part of the reason we're still in touch with Damon John, which has been awesome, which is part of the reason that I was introduced and have been working with Mike Chafin and a bunch of other very successful individuals. Because while people do reach out and they say, hey, let's meet up, hey, let's talk, I always say, absolutely, yes, let's do it. And if that means canceling on my friends to be able to go meet with somebody or go whatever it may be, I'm very fortunate that they understand that business is a giant part of my life and that following up with people and being able to go and meet with people and spend time on the phone or sending emails has been extremely, extremely helpful.
Very good. And we mentioned Mike a few times on the show here, and Mike was on episode 19. So if you want to go tune into that, you can absolutely go to Ambitious Radio, go to Mike Chafin, and he is on episode number 19. Well, I'll tell you what, Ms. Lachlan, I am so thankful that you came on the show and actually did a bonus episode or a bonus segment for us. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate you coming on the show.
So much fun. Yeah, anytime. Super happy to be here, for sure.
Thank you for listening to the Ambitious Radio Network, hosted by serial entrepreneur Doug Parker. Join us weekly as we have engaging conversations with ambitious entrepreneurs and thought leaders on topics that can be applied immediately after listening. Like what you've heard? Listen to other interviews at ambitiousradio.com or subscribe on iTunes.